Okay, so Ryan Tov, to those that are here or to those that will be listening to this, we continue in the Sefer Eshpoich Lifonov Sichi. We're on page Kuf Dalet in the 6th chapter, where we're speaking about the actual application of how much time should you spend on HISBODEDUS in this private speaking to Hashem. And we kind of settled on at least when you start 15 minutes. But the 15 minutes have to be daily, every day. It's got to be kavua, a setting. We give a very interesting halachic analysis of even when there's a majority of one, but if the one is kavua, it's important. It is calculated in a very high way. So now we're going to explain a pasuk in Shir HaShirim. Ragel Hoya Lashono Shel Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Zal. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Bender would say the following thing on the medrash, on the pasuk. And sure, Im Choma He, if she is like a wall, Nivna Alel Tiras Kesef. You can build on the wall a palace of silver. Vimdelasi, but if she's a door, Natsur Alav Luach Eres. You can panel it with a wood paneling. What does that pasuk mean? So he explains like this. Im chomehi, if she is a wall. Im adam chazak, if the person's strong, yatziv, kavucham, the person is set solid like a brick wall. If a person lives like a brick wall, they know what you can do when a person's like a brick wall? After leave no salav tiras kesef, you can build upon it palaces of silver. Because you're a sturdy wall, you can build on it. Achim delasi, but if it's a door, what do you know about a door? Is a door steady? No. Ella delas ena kavua b'misparos. A door is not set with nails. Pam hipsucha, sometimes it opens. Upam skur, sometimes it's closed. Nova zav moves back and forth. So for a door, you can't build on a door. After Raklitzvos, you just coat it with some paneling. Liapuzah will make it look nice. Nitzor alel luach eres. Panel upon it a cedar wood board. So what does that mean? It's referring to what we was talking about. Adam hamisnai kedel, person who acts like a door. Sometimes the door is open and I do HISBODEDUS. Sometimes the door is closed. I don't do HISBODEDUS. So what can I do? Can't do much. Efshar lasli goes, you can make it look nice. You could say, oh, I'm a Breslover. I do HISBODEDUS sometimes. But you can't build on it. A structure can't be built on something that's not solid. So that's the same idea. That's why it's very hard to develop great rabbis nowadays who become Torah giants, because they're not like solid walls. We learn a little, do other things. We need to have an understanding. You have to be solid to build on something that's solid. Similarly, he quotes from Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Bender. It says in Gemara Shabbos, a person should always sell everything he has so he has shoes. Shoes are very important. And the Gemara explains, Al tikra minolim, it's quoting a pasuk, don't call minolim l'raglov, ella mina anuim. So he's explaining, don't call it shoes, but call it mina manulim lehargelov. It means locks to it that he's accustomed to. What does that mean? What does that mean? You should sell everything, right? And get shoes. It means timkor tachliv tevater alcohol. You can concede on everything. You can do what you want. Avalo al hergo, but not on something that you're used to. Al kfiz, on something that is steady. In other words, you should sell everything, right? But you got to make sure to have steady habits. min olim, manulim lehergalov, to have locks to your, like a lock, like you're locking something tight to the habits that you have. Yes, Shlomo, you have a question.
Yes, Rabbi. So my question is it right to say that this is the foundation, or one has to be perfect in this to move ahead? First, this needs to be perfected.
I mean, HISBODEDUS?
Yes.
Well, this is about anything you do in life. He's talking about HISBODEDUS now, but everything in life. Learning, you have to be in the habit to always learn. You have to have a steady schedule that you don't break. So if you want to get involved, remember, we're saying HISBODEDUS is the catch-all for everything. So not worse than anything else, you just can't let it go. That's what he's saying. So for us who are working on HISBODEDUS, and we already talked about all its virtues, so yes, it's something you have to do every day. Don't give up on those things. And there's other things in life that you shouldn't. Every day you have to daven. Every day you have to learn Torah. Every day you have to do chesed. But it's going to all start with the right HISBODEDUS. So that's what we're saying. Likfius techaber manu. So for doing things with regularity, connect it like a shoe. Tinal aseb so yuchla tovachem liv. Lock it up, wear it. You know, when you wear a shoe and you tie it, it doesn't fall off. You tie a shoe tight, it never falls off. The same thing. Why? Because a person is built through what he has developed in these habits that he doesn't break the habit. Let's talk about health. It's a good thing to exercise a number of times each week. Now, it's not going to be good that when you're on vacation, you exercise, and all the times you don't. Steady every week, how many times the doctor says you should do it. And that when you get into the habit, that's how a person gets built up. You get built up on habits. It's not, oh, I try this and for a few days and I go from that and I go to another thing. You know, the best thing is to have a good, let's say, an eating. This is what I eat every day for breakfast, my healthy breakfast, whatever it is. Oatmeal, let's say, and an egg, whatever, something healthy. And I do it every day. No such thing as, well, maybe when I got time. A person is built up through habits, but you know, not that he's a habit and he doesn't think about it. He thinks about it. This is part of the routines, steady routines. How do you become great in learning? You'll learn every day. You start a sefer, you finish it. You start another sefer, you finish it. Unless you made a mistake and you picked the wrong sefer. But generally speaking, there's an expression for such a person in the negative term, but I think it's pleasant. It's a stick in the mud. What is a stick in the mud? Someone, he just keeps doing the same thing. And that's good. You got to be doing the same thing. That's how you build yourself up. If you're all over the place, you don't go anywhere. How does a guy become a doctor? Whatever. He spends 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years studying and he doesn't let up.
As long as the thing you're doing is a good thing.
Of course.
Is this when God calls us a stiff-necked people? That's a compliment because we stick to it?
It could be, but sometimes it's the opposite. But that could be a good thing too, yes. Okay, now he's going to quote from a sefer. He says, Kefi Amuvan, as it's understood, Shem Shekiyum, as explained there. Shekiyum Hashnei, he's talking about two things to maintain all the time. This is from the Breslov Swarm. Limud Shachar, learning halacha, HISBODEDUS b'chol yom, and he spells every day. Those two things, b'chol v'lo yaver, don't let them pass. If you have those two, every day learn something in halacha.
What's the second one you said? Sorry.
HISBODEDUS. There's a whole class on this. It's talking to God alone. That's HISBODEDUS. You can't give up on it. It cannot be compromised. And you're going to succeed in great ways. Yoser, much more. Not the same as a person doesn't do it regularly. A person can do the same amount, but it's not regular. Let's say, okay, I'll do a half an hour. I'll do an hour this week. And that's it for the week. As opposed to a guy does 15 minutes every day. Every day, consistency is so important. Levizo that comes out. She'ein lo Yisrael mal kach shelo pol b'tfilos hisbodedus. Im lo kiyam osam ba'ofen shel chavir. Therefore, a person shouldn't complain. If he says, my prayer, my hisbodedus isn't going anywhere. So the first question, are you doing it every day? No. If you're not doing it every day, what are you complaining about? It's a big difference. A person does things from time to time versus it's his routine and he doesn't let it go. As is explained in the Sichos Hara. Even if you see your words don't make a mark on what you're saying now. If you keep being consistent with it, they will eventually work. And in the brackets, he explains in the Sichos Hara. Baby Mashal, the famous analogy from Rabbi Akiva, seeing water dripping on a stone. Even though the water doesn't have any power to wear away the stone. You can't tell that the water made any mark on the stone. When the water goes on the stone, once after again and again and again and again, you know it's going to make a hole in the stone. Similarly, if your heart is a heart of stone, you don't see any mark that your words are saying. Still in all. After many days and many years, drip, 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 drip. Even though you can't tell anything. Finally, the dripping of the HISBODEDUS will make a hole in your rocky heart by talking to Hashem. As the pasuk says, "Avonim shachaku mayim," the water is able to wear the stones. As the Rabbi Akiva, that idea Rabbi Akiva understood, and that had him go learn Torah. As he saw the water making a hole, and that's what Rabbi Akiva said. If the water can make a hole in the stone, certainly the water, Torah's waters can penetrate my heart. What's the secret of the drops of water? Their power to break through a stone, day after day, year after year. Even if it's only one drop. But it doesn't stop. It has a tremendous power. So you'll see even drops can make a hole in the stone. When you make HISBODEDUS a part of your daily life, slowly, it'll break through your rocky heart. Until you fulfill the pasuk, as it says in Eicha, Shivchi kamayim libech nochach pnei Hashem. Pour your heart like water before the face of Hashem. He tarim es libcha kosher Kevin. It will raise up your hard heart. Hamunach lamata, but that's below in the ground here. Lamala, way up. El Hashem yisparach to Hashem. It will raise it up. Next page. Like the Rebbe says in the Sefer Chaye Moharan. He says, one time the Rebbe, Rabbi Nachman, was speaking to a certain rabbi, Rabbi Yaakov Yosef. Maybe that was the student of the Baal Shem. As he normally spoke. The Siperlo, he told him, Mashal Lamelech, we already had this one not that long ago, but we're going to go review it, so it'll sound familiar. Analogy of a king who sends his son far away to learn wisdom. And afterwards, the son comes back with a graduate degree from Harvard School of Wisdom. So one time Pharaoh says, take this huge, massive boulder, take it up to the top floor. He couldn't pick up a 500-pound rock. He felt so bad he couldn't honor his father's request. But till the father told him the answer for Amrlo. He got to ask you to take a 500-pound rock and take it upstairs? I wouldn't do that. Can you do such a thing with your great brains that you got a degree in? My whole intention was to take a good chisel, break up the huge boulder to small bits. It was that that's how you could take every bit up to the top floor. So therefore, he explains, similarly, Hashem Yisrael Siva Aleinu Shenisa Lavenu El Kapayim El Kel Bashamayim. Hashem has told us, the pasuk says, raise our hearts, okay, lift up with our hearts, with our hands to the God in the heavens. Take your heart in your hand and bring it up to Shemayim. How can we do this? Our hearts are the biggest boulders in the world. We can't lift up a heavy heart. Take a chisel. That's speech. That's how you can break and destroy that hard, hardy, rocky heart. And then you can lift it up to Hashem. That's our hearts are so hard. We don't want to give emotion. We want to vent that emotion, that feeling to Hashem. The only way to break that is to mamish speak to Hashem. That speech will break it. It's going to be hard. It's going to be long without any vitality. Slowly, Hashem will illuminate things for you when he sees that you're stubborn and you're not leaving your place. When he sees you really mean it, then and only then, then he will illuminate that you'll merit to understand and feel that this hour of speaking to Hashem is your life and renews you every day. As the Rabbi says in Likutei Maran, the main vitality of life comes from your prayer, as the pasuk says, prayer to the living God. Ostira, then you'll see, Shisha Hisman Kasser. You're going to find out this hour is not enough. You know how it is. There are certain genders that I will not mention that seem to love to talk. And, and the other gender doesn't understand that. Just say what you need and move on. Oh, no. Can you get off the phone? It takes 20 minutes to get off the phone. They start saying, okay, I got to get off the phone. And they're still on for 20 minutes. What's there to say? You know what? When you really enjoy it, there's what to say. Now, if you're the kind of person that, just there's my business and goodbye. Keep, your calls are limited to 10 seconds. And you might think it's hard. But it's possible to just, you got to say, that's not enough. An hour is not enough. Because it's so hard to pour my heart in just an hour. How can I do justice to it? Can you play a hockey game in an hour? A full game with everything, going full tilt. An hour is not enough. You need more time. We got to end the game. What are you talking about? Then you're going to yearn to make it bigger, longer. It's so great, you want to make it much larger. until you connect to the words of the Talmud of Rabbi Yochanan. Says, "Ulavai shispalo odom kol hayoyim kula." However, a person would pray all day. Okay, so that's the two main ideas that we have out of this. We should be sharpening up. We got a week to go, a little more than a week to figure out when's going to be that 15 minutes of the day. That's going to be 7 days a week to talk to Hashem, saying praises to Hashem, making a cheshbon hanefesh, all these things. That ends chapter 6. Now we go to chapter 7, which touches now on a new issue. And this is where to do the HISBODEDUS. Perek Zion, page Kufches. HISBODEDUS becheder o basodeh. Should you have HISBODEDUS in a room or in a field? And the author goes through a very interesting analysis, different statements of Rabbi Nachman that seem to be conflicting with each other. But then he helps us get our way through and understand when he's referring to one thing and when he's referring to another. Now, I'm not sure, this must be a typo, this word Perek Yudalid in the 14th chapter, because we're only on the 7th chapter. And I looked in the 14th chapter, doesn't talk anything about this. So I'm not exactly sure what he meant with this, but anyway, he said, we already explained, Biarnu Estiva Rabbeinu B'Torah Nun Beis, already explained what Rabbi Nachman said in his 52nd essay, which is, he's just recapping. Shom Gila Rabbeinu Asodis. There is where the Rebbe revealed the secret of HISBODEDUS, which is a tefillah Hashem Yisrael b'makom u'misman bo mispol mispoded u'parsperim. It's prayer to Hashem in a place and in a time where he's in seclusion and separated from civilization. U'misyachet bad babad im Hashem Yisbarach, and he is alone with Hashem Yisbarach. Why? Because through the prayers in this place and at this time, levatal es midos of haroim, to nullify his bad midos, tivu, his bad nature, vatavos of his bad lusts, achiyiska lezikuch, till he merits to purify himself, shall yado tichalov nishros b'yisbarach, that thereby he can incorporate himself and cling to Hashem. Shizui tachas abriya, that's the goal of creation. Ubo tidbak, you will cleave to him. And in that 50-second teaching, he says very clearly, that the prayer should be outside of where people live on a lonely path. Klomar, meaning, b'makam shabo ein b'nei adam, on an empty path where nobody is there. Because in a place where there's other people who are running after this world's pleasures, even though right now there's nobody on the road because it's late at night, but still, since in the day people go there, it's going to disturb his HISBODEDUS. To be able to separate from the environment that's there. Meaning he's saying, don't even go, let's say you go 2:00 in the morning on Spring Gate Boulevard. There ain't gonna be no cars out there. Still not to do HISBODEDUS there. Because the whole day cars go past it. The environment's been spiritually polluted from seclusion. You have to go to a place that people just don't go. Find a spot that's very not well traveled at all. Okay? Because you don't even want to, because everything that happens in a place, the place is affected. A place where people talk a lot, it's never a quiet place. Even though right now it's a ghost town. Doesn't matter. There's years and years of people running after foolishness. It's embedded into the atmosphere of that place. You got to stay away from that. And if you're in such a place, therefore you'll never come to nullifying yourself and be incorporated into Hashem. And he adds, similar to you have to do the prayer balayla at night, when people are asleep. And they're not running after the pleasures of the world, even though you're not with them. So let's see what he's focusing on here. Go to a place like in the forest, not on the main path where everybody's traveling. You go into the forest. Nobody goes into the forest because you don't want a place where there's been noise before. And you want to do it like when everybody's asleep. In Rabbi Nachman's time, as soon as it got dark, everybody's asleep. But now, like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, everybody's asleep to do that. Yes?
What about a shade? You always told us to shine a picture.
What about a shade?
You should go somewhere that's all alone and no one else has ever been there. It's so quiet. Maybe the opposite's happening. You're alone.
What about Shadim? Okay, Shadim.
I thought we said we don't worry about Shadim anymore.
Yeah, we really don't. That would be like a place that's like really off the beaten trail, like off the grid. You know what I mean? Like miles and miles from people. Here, you're still, near the city. Okay. Okay. Now, so what is this all about? So he says, the need for all this precious detail of a real secluded spot where nobody goes, and to do it at night. It's not only to have presence of mind, because he's emphasized something else. Because for that, you go to any room, lock yourself in a room and pour your heart before Hashem. You want presence of mind. It's more than presence of mind. Let me just move this a little bit, trying to move it. But in this 50-second essay, the Rebbe's engaged in telling us, you want to have Hisbodedus, I'll bring you to a level of beetle, total nullification. That type of Hisbodedus is something that's very beyond what can be measured, like a charm, a spiritual charm. Things that are not scientific. Presence of mind is scientific. In a quiet place, you can concentrate. Here we're talking about nullifying yourself to Hashem. That needs all kinds of supernal conditions. So for that, you need to be done dafka at night, in a totally secluded place. That's a different thing. That's on the one hand. That was the 50-second. Maybe on the other hand, prepared to say, now in this chapter, what are you going to do? Lavaris mashkas Rabbeinu b'Torah nun beis, imasha kasav b'likute maran tanina Torah chafei. We're going to contrast the 50-second teaching to the 25th teaching in the second volume of Likutei Maran, which is as follows. And you're going to see some differences if you listen carefully. In the 25th teaching, he says, Lispoded levado be'esa cheder o basara, to speak to Hashem alone in any room or in the field. So you see, he mentions a room. He mentions a room even before the field. And to explain your words between you and Hashem, to plead and supplicate and to bring your case and say words of pleading and appeasement, all to get close to Hashem. Everything is his heart speak to Hashem. Whether it's regret and chew in the past, or it's request that you should merit to get close to Hashem in the future. So what are the differences? Rabbi says you can fulfill this idea in a room or a field. Oh, now that he prefaced the room. That's in the house. To the field that's outside of civilization. Okay. And Also, you find in the Sichos of Rabbi Nosson. It says, Tov Ma'od L'Adam Siya Lo Cheder Miyuchad. It's good to have a private room, Levado, alone. Lasak Shem Avodas Hashem B'Torah Tefillah, to engage in service Hashem in prayer and in learning. Uberfrat these photos, and especially with HISBODEDUS. When he speaks between himself and Hashem, you certainly need a designated room. So we see a designated room is important. We see that the Rebbe Reb Nachman himself was engaged for many days and many years in his HISBODEDUS outside of civilization. But even in his house also, as we see in many places. Okay, so we're going to stop it at this point. We're going to leave you a little bit of a cliffhanger. And tomorrow we'll go a little further and try to sort it out. See what he's done. He talked about the hour time versus 15 minutes. Now he's talking about, everyone says, oh, I got to go to the field. Let's see. Let's wait for tomorrow. God willing, Paul, we're going to learn tonight.
I was just going to ask, are we on tomorrow? And then I was going to ask about tonight.
Looks like we're on for everything.
Okay.
Till next week. That's the way things are looking.
Okay.
All right. Have a
Shalom
great.
bias rules.
That's right. That's right.
Take care, Rabbi. Be well.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.